Okay. Welcome, everybody. Randy, welcome. Bendeo. Bendeo, I'm surprised you're awake. I put on Johnny's channel for a minute. I almost fell asleep, so I figured if you were watching it, you had to be asleep. Hey, Billy Breeze, what's going on? So today we should have a fun day. I think today might be a breakthrough day for a lot of people because I'm going to show you stuff that you may or may not know by looking at chords. Max, welcome. And so I hope it's a breakthrough day for people. Because for me, when I first started playing, I mean, breakthroughs happen. I mean, even to this day, all the time I gather an understanding of something. And I don't know if any of you ever tried. Hey, Tom Milley, welcome. I don't know if any of you tried to learn to speak another language or if you do speak another language. But when you see somebody who can only say a few words in a language and then they try to have a conversation or whatnot, and they can fake the language, like they can make it sound like they're saying stuff, and it's funny, but usually it's not good. And that's how I feel when I see people that don't know music on a level of just a basic understanding of language. Hey now, Jan, welcome. So you should have a basic understanding of it as a language. Now, some people are like, I don't want to learn theory, and that's good for you. But when you do speak, it does sound obvious to most people, even if they don't even play, that you don't, or that you don't speak the language. And then the more you speak, you don't have to be schooled to a PhD level to be able to have conversations with people in that language. Thanks for the German, Todd. Hey, Pam. So, on that note, I just want to say that you're learning, people who are here that actually watch this, it's good because you can actually learn just even little things that pick up to make you speak the language better. And to me, I think that is really cool. Now, today I said I was going to be talking about slash chords, and no, not that slash. Bendeo beat me to the joke, but I still was going to use it. And slash chords are just another name for a chord, but they're used differently. It's not like they're the same. And even though here, I'm going to show you this one more time. This is Donald Fagen discussing a D11 and how there's different names for it. Let me just show you this.
We end up on a C triad with a D in the bass, which is a, you call an 11 chord. It's one of the many names we might have for it.
Or a C over D or something.
Peculiar nomenclature that they use in music. And that's a chord that leads to...
Now, what's great about that is that the 11 chord, the reason why it's called an 11 chord sometimes, and sometimes why it's called a C over D, you could say it's a D11 or a C over D. There's a reason why you call it the other name. And I'm going to get to that today, but not right this second. But because you won't understand it right now if I tell you. But it's clickbait, Johnny. So anyways, what I wanted to discuss today was slash chords. So we've talked about the key of C. It's fairly a simple key. I have my guitar here. I still have my capo on. I'm going to take the capo off now. But I was teaching a song. I actually taught a song today that's going to go up, God, I think March 7th. It's like I'm that much ahead now on my lessons. But anybody want to take a guess what song is capoed all the way up on the 8th fret? It's a song from the 70s. I'll play just a second of it. James Bruce Fitness, welcome. Hugh Caldwell, welcome. I'm taking that off. James Bruce Fitness, that looks like Danny's picture in there. Don't know if that is, but it could be. Anyways. So, let me pull this up here. Boom. Okay. Hey, Billy Breeze got it. Yeah, that's coming out in a couple of weeks. Afternoon Delight, I already did. There you go, Layla. All right, Johnny Kramer. Yeah, I'm doing that. I did the lesson already. It's already posted, but it's not going to come out till 3 Mondays from now. Yeah, there'll be no Neil Young. All right, so I don't know what you guys can see there because I have a live thing blocking it. But you see, these are the chord names. If we look at the top of the page, these are the chord names in the key of C. If we go four notes, right? So we have C major 7, D minor 7, E minor 7, F major 7, G7, A minor 7, and B. You can call that a minor 7 flat 5. Some people like to call it a B half diminished. It means the same thing. If it were a full B diminished 7, it would have a double flat 7. But because it's just a minor 7 with a flat 5, I have Dr. Wu's coming out in a couple of weeks. Not next week, but 2 weeks. Dr. Wu, James. Hey, thanks for being a fan. So if we look at the chords up top, we see that the C major 7 is C, E, G, B, right? So that's, I don't know if you guys have your guitars with you, but if you play a C major 7 chord, C, E, G, B, and then the extra E, or as Mr. Scaramanga likes to say, the superfluous E. Okay, that's a C major 7. We can also see that E, G, B, the last 3 notes of that chord, is an E minor. So if somebody were to tell me to play a C major 7, or if I'm playing it in a particular band, and it's, let's just say the bass player is just sitting there going, I know I could sit there around an E minor and just be like, I can play E minor because the C with the E minor becomes the C major 7 chord. If I wanted to approach this, if we were just to sit and someone said, hey, listen, Dave, we're going to just vamp in C on a C major 7 chord. So I could sit there. I can play E minor. I could play the E minor scale over that. Now, it will have an F sharp, and I do like the sound of that sharp 11 over there, so that works. But I could also play E minor in the 3rd mode, which would be the key of C, you know, that type of scale. But I can see that chord when someone says C major 7, I know right away C, E, G, B, that's like an E minor over C. If I look at D minor 7, I see F, A, C. So I see within the D minor 7 chord, there's an F chord. F, A, C is an F triad. So, you know, in some songs, when you see people play this D chord shape and they play it on the 5th fret, that's because this becomes C, F, A. It becomes the 2nd inversion of F. If I play it with an open D string, now it's a D minor 7. I'm just messing around with a little Chicago for you. But anyway, so that's a D minor 7 chord. And I can play that through all inversions of F. Regular D minor 7, if we look, A, C, F, that's 1st inversion of F. 2nd inversion of F over D. Root position, F, A, C. So if somebody were to play a D minor 7 chord, I could arpeggiate an F major arpeggio. I could also even go as far as saying an F major 7 arpeggio, because the E would become a 9, and then I'm implying the D minor 9. But really, I'm playing off the F. At least that's how I do it if I'm playing, because melodically, that's what I hear. I mean, I think there's a duality that goes on when I play because I do both. But I do think of the D minor 7. When someone says D minor 7, I know there's an F. And I know I can extend it out to the F major 7 for the 9. And I can keep going, you know. I mean, sorry, the D minor 7 with the E with the D minor 7 for the 9. F major 7 makes the 9. And then what would F major 9 be? With the G, right? That would be an 11. So anyway, so now if we look at E minor 7, there's a G chord sitting right in there. And I have all these on the bottom. You can see them on the bottom. Can everyone see that? That an E minor 7 is basically a G chord over E. And if we look at the F, we have F, A, C, E. That's an A minor triad over an F. If we look at the G7, D minor 7, it's a nice chord. I like D minor 9 too. So the G7 is basically like a B diminished over G. A minor 7 is a C major over A. And then the B diminished is a D minor over B. Well, the B half diminished, I'm sorry. The B minor 7 flat 5 is a D minor over B. So there are times F major 7 should melt some face. Oh, it's funny. Yeah, so I mean, that F major 7, if someone's playing, if you're hearing that F major 7 chord, you know you could play an A minor pentatonic, and you won't hear the F, and it's a nice sound because I'm playing to the A minor pentatonic. It's a great sound. So if you have a chance to go on YouTube and look up like F major 7 backing track, you can just all day live on that A minor pentatonic. You know what I mean? So it gives you another, there's a chord within a chord. And, you know, I say this a lot. You're going to get sick of me saying it. There's only 7 notes. So a lot of it's just going to keep coming back. If we looked at an F major 7, which I don't have on the board, hey, Hetriani, if we look at F major 7, we have F, A, C, E, as Todd pointed out. But if we go to an F major 9, we add a G. Okay, so now not only is the A minor have a 7, it's an A minor 7 over F. We could look at it as 3 triads. FAC is your F major, ACE is your A minor, and CEG is your C major. So you have 3 chords you could arpeggiate over that one chord, and it would sound great. That's a really nice sound. And in fact, because there's 3, you could throw an out chord in there like a G major and tie them together. And then the G major would be the 9, the sharp 11, and the 13 on top of the F. So if we look at the bottom, we see like, so I wrote them all out, the same exact notes and what they are. So C major 7 is E minor over C, D minor 7 is F over D, E minor 7 is G over E, F major 7, A minor over F. So they're all there on the bottom. All right. Now, is this the right page I got coming up here? So here is a C major 7 or E minor over C. And because of it, if you look at it from the C major 7, everybody knows you would play A minor pentatonic. And so I have that on the bottom left. However, we could also look at the chord like an E minor over C, and we could play the E minor pentatonic, which we'd be avoiding the root. The root would be played on the bass or the piano somewhere, and on the guitar, we're working around it. We play the 3, the 5, the 6, the 7, and the 9. That's not right. Yeah, the 9. Okay, I was like, where's the 2? It's the 9. I'm all right. And also, you could play the B minor pentatonic, because that would be the key of D. And in the chord, we don't have an F sharp, so we can add that sharp 11 in there. Otherwise, it's all the same notes. And we can also play D minor pentatonic, although that's not pretty sounding. It would be right to the scale, but not right to the ear. It's just not good. I stay away from stuff that hits like, it's 1 and 5 is okay, but you have that 11, 13, and then the 9 is good, but not a fan. Anyways, so those you can play if you want to take a look at like what you could play over a C major 7 chord. And my whole goal is so you don't just see the C major 7 chord as the C major 7. You see it as the E minor over C. And if it went out to a C major 9, you would actually have a D in the chord. And then you would have 3 chords. You would have the C, you would have a G, and you would have an E minor. Hey, Rich, what's happening? So now I'm going to show you up here. In the C major scale, we have some common chords, like a C major 9, which is C, E, G, B, D. We have a G11, which you guys hear me say all the time on my channel, which is really G, B, D, F, A, C. That's really what a G11 chord is, because an 11 chord has to have the 7 and the 9 and the 1, 3, and the 5. Although you can dump the 5, but that's really what the 11 is. The A minor 9 is A, C, E, G, B, and the minor 7, flat 9, flat 5 is B, D, F, A, C. However, looking down on the bottom, that C major 7, C major 9, we can look at it like it's an E minor 7 over C. Or we can even look at it like it's a G chord over C. And if we look, and that's like a lot of Steely Dan songs, you're going to hear this chord. This is a very Steely Dan chord. We hear it in. Now, all I'm playing here is a G over E. E, and then I play the G chord. And then we have... Now, if you saw this written in sheet music or on the chord charts, this would be written as D major 9 to C major 9, G major 9 to F major 9. But they're really not major 9 chords. This D major 9 is an A triad over D. This C major 9 is really a G triad over C. And that's our chord. There's our C major 9. So if somebody were to call out to you and say, play a C major 9, here you have 5 notes, right? C, E, G, B, D. But really, I'm only using 4. I'm playing a G triad, G, B, D over C. And I'm omitting the 3rd. And I'm not the only one that does that. Steely Dan songs, you do that all the time. Now, if we look at the 5 chord, we see F over G. And above, it says G11. We see G, B, D, F, A, C. So here, we're omitting not only the 5, we're omitting the 3rd as well. And that chord is like this. We could bring in the 5, and that would be a D minor 7 over G. Still a G11. Now, why I would call something a G11 and why I would call it an F over G only happens to be where it falls in the progression. For instance, I'm just going to bring this a whole, lower. But if we look at the song by... I could say Ace. We'll do Ace since it's closest. I was going to say you could do She's Gone by Hall & Oates. Anything that has the 4 over 5, which is the F over G here. Right, this is a... Well, your friend and your family can't say persuasion. Don't admit that it's part of the scene. And I hate to right, whatever the lyric. Cause I ain't quite as dumb as I seem. Okay. So, real quickly, what key are we in? It's simple because I told you before, the major chords are always 1, 4, and 5. The minors are 2, 3, and 6. So I'm playing two majors. Even though it has a G in the bass, it's an F chord to a G. All right, so we have an F to a G. That tells you the 1 is a C. So we're in the key of C or A minor. So what happens is we call this the F over G because it's acting as the 4 chord in the song. It's acting as a 4. So, and same in. It's been eternity in the city. Right? And same with the how long has this been going on? Right? So we can see that this is acting as a 4 chord. Now, when I played Beth for you the other day, when we did this chord is acting as a 5. And when we say when it acts as a 5 is, it's directing the song to go back to the 1. It's showing the end and it's showing attention. Now, when you're playing lead guitar and you're playing, whether it's a session or you're playing at an open jam or anything like that, when something is acting as the 5, it wants you to throw some ugly at it. It wants some of the tension. So you would hear like, you know, that, which is why we have altered chords in 5s, like that type of sound. It's nice. But that's why we have different names, why I wouldn't call an F over G, I wouldn't call that if it's sitting in the 5, because if I'm telling a guitar player or a sax player that chord is an F over G, he's going to be like, okay, and then he's going to want to hear it in context. But if I tell him right away, we're playing a G11, he knows because it's a G dominant chord, because there is no word major there to say what the 7 is, so the 7 is dominant. As soon as he hears that it's a dominant chord, G7, G9, G11, G altered, then he knows he can stretch on that chord because that's the chord that wants tension to come back to the root. Is that understood by everybody here so far? Let me know if I'm throwing too much out there. But that is why you will see me, like in a lot of my lessons, because I was watching back a couple of my lessons, and I noticed I tell people, well, it's the 5 chord, so I'm calling it an 11. And then sometimes I'm like, well, it's not the 5, so it's an F over G. And I'm like, I wonder if I would have known what I was talking about as a younger player that didn't do the studying on it. So that's the reason why. So you understand what the point of the 5 is. And it's in like so many songs. I mean, it's hard to get around it. It just happens. Now, as a joke, I put in here the B minus 7 flat 9 flat 5 over G. There's no way in hell anybody's calling a G11 that. But it's the same. It is the same thing. Okay, Richard, great. Thanks. So now if we look at the C major 7, now if we look at the A minor 9 at the top, that is A, C, G, and B, right? Now, when we play an A minor 9, like a lot of times people will play it like this, A, C, A, G, C, B, E, like, yeah, Todd, it's just not on the guitar. You're not going to hear, most people that call out the 11 chord, they don't want to hear the 3rd. They just want to hear 1, 5, 7, 9, 11. So here would be an A minor 9, right? We hear that a lot then to like. So we could also think of it as a C major and a C major 7 over A. And you might be saying, well, why do I have to look at it like that? Or why would I? Well, there's an Allman Brothers song, Liz Reed, where the opening chord is this C major 7 with an A in the bass. Anyways, so it's nice to know that that's the A major 7. Also, it's used in Tin Man. Well, laws never did give nothing to the tin. And that's just a C major 7 shape with an A in the bass. You could also play, if you didn't want the 7 and you just wanted to play it, you could play it like that if you wanted to add the 11. But knowing that the of what the slash chord is, so you know how to play it, you can understand what the notes are. For me, I think a lot of students, when they learn slash chords, learn the notes and the chords a lot faster. Because knowing those chords and knowing that is everything. If you're going to sit there and say to someone C major 7, I guarantee if you put on a backing track on YouTube and you play to a C major, let me see if there is one. I think there is, and I'll post it. Hold on. C major 7 backing track. Swing. Let's try this. Let me hear what this one sounds like. Make sure this is not. Okay, it's not. Okay, this is one. Okay, so now, I don't know if you guys have your if you open up this track, okay, what is your instinct to play over it? And then I want you to try playing E minor over it, the full E minor. As opposed to playing C major or A minor. And I think that's what I'm trying to say is once you can see the chord for being something else, it opens up just a lot of doors. I'm not saying that you shouldn't play A minor, but I just think A minor is a little predictable. And there's going to be licks in A minor where you're like, you know, where it's like, oh, that's nice. You know, it's a. If you want to play that smooth jazz that it sounds like, you would hit that out. But then if you wanted to really play, if you play E minor over it, it changes it. It's nice. And not just play E minor, but knowing the triads in E minor. So, you know, you've got like G, a D, those type of things, C major to B minor. Yeah, I mean, you can play outside. I'm not talking about playing outside as much as I'm trying to show you the just a different view of playing something very melodic, but everything's very, I mean, E minor is very inside. I mean, sharp 11, even though it's not inside the major, it's not inside the 1 chord, it makes it the 4 chord, and it's still pretty. In fact, it's prettier than the F. The F sharp over the C major 7 is much prettier than the F natural over that chord. So where F natural is inside, It doesn't sound as good, in my opinion. But yeah, so that's something that you could understand, is to see that. The same way is if somebody was to say to you, what do I play over a B minor 7 flat 5 chord? Yeah, totally. It gives you that angle. So you would see that over that D minor 7, over that B minor 7 flat 5, you could actually play a D minor 7 scale, a D minor 7 arpeggio. Yeah, it sounds real good. And that's the cool thing, Tom, because now you're looking at the chord as an E minor. See, I grew up playing piano, and not a very good one. But I grew up knowing when I used to play a C major 7 chord, I was like, I had a right hand playing an E minor and my left hand playing a C. And so when it translated to guitar for me, just even young, I was like, oh, I can just play over the E minor. I can treat this as an E minor. And you can do that with anything, like a B minor 7. You can treat it like it's a D, So there's a couple of things. Where's the? Okay, let me move on to my next sheet here. So another question is like, when would you ever refer to the C major 7 as an E minor over C? And to me, there are times when you would do it. If we look at the top of this page here, and the song was E minor, you'd see it written out chord-wise like this: E minor 7 over D, C sharp minor 7 flat 5 to C major 7. That's a very clinical way of naming every one of those chords. It's a very clinical and correct. Would I write it out that way? It depends. If I'm writing it out and I want the band to understand what the hell's going on, I would write it the way it is on the bottom. Because I want everybody to understand that really what I'm hearing is a static E minor chord and the bass is moving down. That's the sound I want. So that would be like if you were playing. You know that sound, right? It's like. Because otherwise, because I wouldn't want to say, even though it's correct to say E minor 7 over D, and the reason why it's correct is because the D is the 7, so therefore it's part of the chord. And you're just telling somebody that the D is the bass note. On the bottom, when you have E minor over D, even though you're not saying there's a 7 in the chord because the D is the 7, it's because you're explaining to the person playing that you want that E minor chord static. And I say this about everybody in music. When people tell me how important modes are, and I tell them that it's not important, it's because we're talking about communication. So if somebody were to give me a session to play this thing on the top, I would see it and be like, oh, are you just asking me to play the descending bass, or did you want different chords? Because I don't know if they want, like... It could be that. I don't know if they want that or they want... I'm asking, as like a musician coming in, to be specific. What is it you want? And so the best way for you to write it out, or write out a chart, or call out the chord, is to call it out how you want it heard. So you want that C sharp minor 7 flat 5 heard as an E minor over C sharp. I get it. Totally get it. You want that C major 7 to follow it as a E minor over C. I get it. E minor is the sound that you want. The C is the bass note. You're not looking for really a C major 7, even though it's the same fucking chord. But you're looking for that specific. Here's my E minor. You keep going all way down. I could have come up with names for all those. You know, so it's good to know the slash chord name if that's how you're using it in the context of a slash chord, or if we're using it as the chord. For instance, there's a song by Paul McCartney, every day she does, right? Every day when it goes, so sad, so sad. Sometimes she feels so sad. Right, it does that exact thing. It's that E minor to C major 7. But it's really like the C and the bass of the, and then C sharp half diminished. Back to the C major 7. But that still feels like an E minor over C sharp to me. Look at all the lonely people. Yeah, it's the same. But yeah, more the B section of it's just another day when it goes so sad, so sad. Sometimes she feels so sad. It's that moving bass note over that static chord. Joseph Trujillo reminds me of Nino Ferrer, Looking for You. Don't know it. I don't know that one. But yeah, so you have like, you know, you have that sound in there. And so I'm just showing you there's ways where it's more correct to write it out one way or think of it one way, because you're trying to get either a player, like let's say, you know, somebody wanted Tom Milley to come in and play on a song they wrote, and they handed him the top chart. He's going to be like, okay, let me work this through and listen to it. But if he sees it the bottom way, there's no misunderstandings. It's an E minor that you want throughout the whole song, and the bass line is moving. And you just communicated that to him so much better in 4 bars, you know. And so that's how I feel also. Like a lot of times people will ask me, especially students, like, because it's in a loud environment, they'll be like, oh, do you know this song? And I'm like, not really. Let me look up the chords real quick. And then I'm like, play this song and I'll read the chords that goes across. And I'm just like, I don't know who wrote these charts, but they're awful. Especially on Ultimate Guitar. I don't know who the hell's writing those charts. But yeah, you have to, you want to communicate to the person playing what the hell's going on. Yeah, and that's right, Todd. It's like just that one note, you know? What is that? I kiss like the wind and the spirits. I call myself the sun. There you go, Hugh. And I like it. Is it in D? I can't. Is it minor or major? No. I can't stand in Stargate. I stargaze because I want more. Yeah. Yeah, Ultimate's terrible. And there's some people that like write corrections on this stuff. But like I said, I only use it like if I'm teaching. One of my students always has, well, you guys know Angelina. She always has friends over. So her friends and her are talking, and I'm just like, just tell me what the hell's the song, and I'll look it up, because I can't hear anything when they're yapping. But yeah, so you want to know what those are and how those, you know, chords work. You know, you'll see like a lot of times. Exactly, Tom, and that's the point. That's why we use slash chords. Slash chords, though, are good if there's a reason why you want that voicing too. So I know a lot of people won't write like G11 here when they want an F chord over a G, because they're afraid somebody's going to play a true G11 chord and have the B in there, the D, and everything, and it kind of gets a little clashy and wishy-washy, and that's not what they want. They want what I would call a pop G11. I just assume when I see an 11 chord, because 11 chords in general are very ugly, the true 11 chord, because you have a 3 and a 4 in the same chord, and it sounds like shit. So technically, FAC over G would really be thought of as a G9 sus4 if you were to be hyper correct, because the 4 then would be the sus and not an 11. But in pop music, because it's 7 9 11 and they want that voicing just like that, 7 9 11, they call it an 11 chord. It is a funky nomenclature for a chord that's missing an important element, the major third, but it is what it is. That's just what they call it. There's rules to music, and then the rules are always being broken. I mean, even everything that I'm telling you about, like when I tell you the 4, and I can't stress this enough to you, the 4 and the 5 and the 1 are major, the 2, 3, and 6 are minor. I can't stress that enough. Is that every time? No. Because we have altered scales. We have scales like A melodic minor, A harmonic minor, and those are different. And those chords change. But in your standard major key and standard minor key, 1, 4, and 5 is major, 2, 3, and 6 is minor. So when you see a song that's just F to G, like Dreams by Fleetwood Mac, we know that's in the key of C. Right, it just walking all over, and then the whole solo is just here in a pentatonic minor. It's like real simple, but tasty as fuck. And it's real simple, and that's, like I said, you can figure out what key it's in 2 seconds by looking at the song. We do I think we did On and On the other day. Right, so this is basically like a C to A minor pattern. This is the A minor is acting as an A minor 7 at 11, and the C is just a C. Right, and then we got on into D minor 7 to G11. We just keep on trying. C major 7. And then on and on. Now, what happened there? Let me just show you this again. We're in the key of C. We have C to A minor, right? So we can just think of this as a 1 to 6. And it's like on and on. You just, to the G11, keep on trying. C major 7 now, because he wants to resolve and make it prettier. Let us smile. And then he goes to an A7 sus4 to an A7. Why does that work? Because now this is a secondary dominant chord to the D minor 7. On and on, because that's the 5 to D minor, so it makes that feel like a resolve. Back to the G11, and then that wants to resolve back to C. So, like I said, this happens in so many songs. I mean, there's a lot of rock songs where it doesn't happen, and yet there's so many more that it does. Like a lot of metal plays like a lot of the same. type of thing. But this just basically, you can look at any, Paul Simon, James Taylor, any of these guys, they're all playing these beautiful chords, but they're using these techniques of moving things around. That. Hey now, David Lincoln, welcome. And another good thing is if you're playing over that C major 7 track that I sent you before, look up all the triads and play over them. And you'll see, like, you'll find different positions to play the leads, to find the solos, because you'll see the outline of these triads are all very similar, especially if you got like, C's not great for a guitar because there's nothing that can ring. So if I were to play an E, for instance, the 1 is E major, F sharp minor is the 2, G sharp minor is the 3, A is the 4, B is the 5, right? So we have like, it's just nice to get around with the triads and everything. It also shows you that, so I just showed you the key of E, 4 and 5 are A and B. That Petty song, Here Comes My Girl, even though it starts on A, it's in the key of E. Yeah, sometimes the whole world seems so hopeless. Is it your mic? Is my mic buzzy? My guitar's buzzing up here because it's just the humidity. I'm not going to adjust it because in about 2 weeks it'll go back to normal. But do you hear? I don't know. I don't hear any buzzing in my headphones except out of my guitar. All right. I think this is what we spoke of before. This is a this is just an example of 2 ways the G11 could be used. Like if you're looking at a all right, thanks, Hugh. Where you would call it an F over G here in this progression on the top, because we have the C acting as the 1. F over A is acting as a 4 over the 6. F over G is acting as a 4 over the 5, but still acting as the 4. And then G is the 5. On the bottom, we would call that a G11 because it's acting in the 5's position. Now, does everyone understand that about the 5? When I keep saying the 5, do we all understand the 7 chords in the key of C? And that you have the 1 and the 4 are major 7 chords. The 5 is a dominant chord. Everyone understand that? Or am I talking to a fucking wall? No, I'm kidding. This would be so much easier to explain on keyboard, by the way. All right, let me just show you. I'm a new fan. Really enjoyed your stream from the club with you and the pianist singer. When is your next live stream? Oh, hey, J-Bone. I don't know. I might do next week. I try to film as much as I can just because I know people are enjoying it these days. My numbers of my live, they're hitting like in the thousands, which I'm hitting at least 1,000, which I'm always good on. So probably Saturday, if not Saturday, next Saturday. And then the Saturday after that, well, I'm doing another cigar gig. I don't know if it's going to be Jimmy or not. I have to see if he was still booked at this other place. And then Saturday, the 5th of March, Emily is going to sing with me at Martini's. Jimmy had another gig that he had booked that he forgot, a private thing. So yeah, let me just show you this one more time. So if we go over to this section here, and we look at the one chord, we have C, E, G, B. B is a half step from the root. Therefore, that's a major 7. We know that's a C major 7. If we look at the 4 chord, that is F, A, C, E. E is a half step from the root. Therefore, we know that is also a major 7. The 1 and 4, no matter what plug and play key you're in, is always going to be major 7. The 5 chord has an F as the 7. That is a flat 7. It's a whole step from the root, and therefore that is the dominant chord. If we look at 2, 3, and 6, all 3 of those have a flat 7. That's why they're called minor 7s. If they had a major 7, it would be called minor major 7s. Oh, hey, thanks, Jay. I got a bunch that are up. There's quite a few live. There's quite a few lives that I have. I got a new Telly Sonic Blue blowing my mind. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, you talked about that. So yeah, so in other words, so we have, so if we're in the key of G, the 1 is G major 7, the 4 is C major 7, and the 5 is D7. In the key of E, we have a 1 major 7, which is E. We have an A major 7, and then we have a B7. The key of D, we have a D major 7, a G major 7 is the 4, and A7 is the 5. A lot of times when you see me teaching these songs, you'll see people on the D chord, and it's in the key of G, which is the 5 chord, and then right before they'll go, they hit that, like especially in some Billy Joel and Steely Dan stuff where they like go into that D11 before they're. The quickest and easiest way is, well, it depends on the song. To me, it's like if there's 2 majors next to each other or 2 minors, I know that's the 4 and the 5 or the 2 and the 3 if they're minor. So there's that way. I can tell just from listening to the song at this point. So when I first started, I would just go by the chords. What's the first chord? So if you look at, okay, if a song starts Ed in a C chord, right? If a song starts with a C chord, we know right away it's in possibly 3 keys, and that's it. We have the key of C. We have a C in the key of G where it sits in the 4 position. And we have a C in the 5th position in the key of F. Then we look to see what the next chord is. If the next chord's like an F major 7, which is a common progression, F major 7 exists in 2 keys, C or F. But usually you wouldn't have that B flat in that first chord, so at that point I would say you're going to a 1 to a 4. So you work around the chords and figure it out. If there's a song you have a question about, Ed, you could always ask me here, and I could walk you through how I would figure it out. but usually you have to go two to three chords deep, and I could tell you what key you're in. Now, if a song has, like I said, if you're just vamping, you can decide the key, by writing the melody on the guitar. But it's real simple when you think about it, that every key, like every chord, like a C chord, and now I'm only talking triads, because C major 7 only exists in two keys. It only exists in the key of C and in the key of G. Because in the key of F, that becomes a dominant. Now, there will be people taking musical license to move chords around like the Beatles do, and they'll be like, and that's using what I would call secondary dominance and chord substitutions. And chord substitutions are pretty important, like using very common, like I just did, the Beatles used to like to do it, substituting the 5 chord with a 4 minor. Like, so you have C major 7. Now the C dominant 7, and that because it wants you to go to F. So you go to F, and then you go to F minor, because that is the substitution to resolve back to C. Now there's a song that Emily and I play. I don't know if you guys know it or how well you know it, but it's called Neither One of Us by Gladys Knight and the Pips. Are you guys familiar with the tune? And Neither One of Us, right? The song starts off with an F major 7. It's like, to a C11, which is a 5 chord. So it bounces back and forth from the 1 to the 5. And that's how the song starts, right? And then she starts singing. It's sad to say, F major 7, this is the 1 chord. We're not gonna make it. The 2 minor 7. Now what happens there is she wants to go to the 5 chord, and they just use a walk down passing chord, which is the D flat 9 chord to the C9. And it's that way back to the F. Now F7. But why do they go from F major 7 to F7? Because they're not in the same key. Anybody? Because we're going to a key change. And they want you to feel that the B flat is the 1. So what happens, it goes, it's really not a key change, but it wants you to feel like it, because it wants the B flat to be the resolve. So when she's like, you're not going to make it, and it's getting to the way down, F7, B flat major 7, there's that resolve, A minor 7, B flat major 7. Now instead of going to the 5, 4 minor 4 substitution, that's cause, and then they go to the 1 over the 5 to give attention. None of us wants to be the first to say goodbye. Back to that little intro. Well, 1 chord to the 2. 5 chord. One chord. Dominant chord now. B flat major 7 becomes our landing spot. A minor 7. B flat major 7. Chord substitution minor 4. That's cause neither one of us wants to be the first to say goodbye. Bridge also in B flat, so we gotta go dominance. Two, 5. Back to the 1. Dominant. B flat major 7. Now 6. What do these change? Walk downs. C11. Oh no, G minor 7. It's a 2-5. There can be no way. Right, back to the 1, major 7. This can be a happy ending. Happy ending. So we go. Whatever the hell. Still in the 5 chord now. Back to the 1. Dominant. B flat major 7. A minor 7. B flat major 7. Substitute the 5 with the minor 4. That's cause neither one of us wants to be the first to say. Now goes to the 6. E from the C. One of us. D sus. C7. Neither one of us want to be the first to say goodbye. What I love about Tits Down the Rain, it's all sus chords. Yeah, well, see, when you play sus, it becomes it adds a stack of 4s, and that Steely Dan does a lot of sus chords too. You know, whether it's yeah, it's nice. Tinseltown's probably my favorite tune off that first record. But anyway, that's the changes and why those changes are those changes. It's not arbitrarily an F major 7 to an F7. That F7 is there to act like the 5 and drive your ear to want to hear the B flat. That is used in songs all the time. The dominant 5 chords are constantly being used to drive your ears to something. And in jazz, the 5 is so important. I mean, it's all, the 2-5-1. But that wants to resolve. Even though it's only going to the 4 in the song, it's hard to get to the 4 without making the 1 chord act like a dominant 5. Does everyone understand what I mean by that? Am I leaving anybody in the dirt there? You call it a Hendrix chord. That chord J has been used in music for it's in so many jazz standards of the 50s. And you say the Hendrix chord. Well, Hendrix record didn't come out till 67. I'm Only Sleeping came out in 66. But yeah, the 7 sharp 9 is a 5 chord. The dominant, it's an altered dominant 7 chord. E, G sharp, D, G natural, which is the sharp 9. But yeah, so the dominant chord can drive your ear. Yeah, drive a lot of fuzz. But yeah, so you can use the dominant chord to move stuff around. What song did I just hear today? It was like, and I was surprised, and I'm like, when I think back of all the crap I learned in high school, it's a wonder I can think. There's your dominant. 2, 5, 1. Dominant 7, dominant chord to make the A the 1. It's called the Hendrix chord because he was the one that used it a lot and brought it into popular music. It's really in Purple Haze. It's in a lot of things, but it's been used well before Hendrix. I mean, Hendrix got it from probably the Isleys, my guess. I mean, it's not that out there of a chord. In jazz, it's used. I mean, nobody says that Pink Floyd uses the Hendrix chord, but if you listen to Home, Home Again, right? When he goes, da, 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 there's a D7 flat 9. So D7 sharp 9, D7 flat 9. And well, it's also not just because he used it. It's because guitar players don't really speak. Most players don't speak the language. You would never go into a session, a jazz session, or even a rock session with guys like the guys from Steely Dan, and somebody say, play the Hendrix chord. They would say, play a 7 sharp 9. But a 7 sharp 9 doesn't mean anything to most people that haven't studied music. So therefore, it's the Hendrix chord. It's the only song I know for a fact you'll know it in is Purple Haze. Right? But by no stretch is it his chord. I mean, it's just. But like I said, the dominant chord drives you around. It's who do you love? That's for you, Hugh. But anyway, so it happens a lot, and you'll see, whether it's Hendrix, Zeppelin, you can flatten your pinky so it's E, G sharp, D, G, and then put the C on top. And now it's an E7 sharp 5 sharp 9. I like that chord. Yeah, I mean, you see it everywhere. The chord's everywhere. It's in the end of, what's that? Except the voicing he's using is like up here. I haven't done a lesson. It's a 10-minute song. It's a way long song. I used to love it though. I forget that whole intro. Wow, he would be 78, huh? I mean, see, Hendrix stuff I loved was like, I always liked stuff like. I'm only sleeping played on the first fret. Played on the first fret? You mean down here, like here? Oh, right, because it's an E minor. It's a B7 sharp 9. Because it's. I'm still young. Oh, no, he plays just a B7. That's not a 7 sharp 9. I think it's just a B7, like. A dream. I think it's just a B7. I don't know if it's as a sharp 9. Oh yeah, who knows? Yeah. It's not a cover, Hugh, unless you're going, "What I know," and sing it the way Hendrix sings it. Oh, really, Richard? Yeah. I think, Jay, it's just a B7. Which is B, D sharp, A, open B, F sharp. The chord I love is the B7 flat 9. Yes, I cannot play the song to the donor of your love. Send an instant comment to me, initially with loving care. Yourself. He very rarely played it on acoustic guitar. He used to play it on a Portuguese guitar, which is like a 10 string with all the strings doubled up. Yeah, it's on a Portuguese guitar, Ed. That. Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head. You don't think I keep these songs memorized, do you? Kidding me? Why do you think I started the channel? So I could go back and go, how the hell do I play that song? Oh, yeah, there we go. I have no idea. I'm not trying to memorize all these songs. That's why, like, if I'm at and this is the truth, a lot of people, and I saw it in the chat once the other day when I was live. I don't know if it was with Jimmy or Danny. Somebody's saying, how do I remember all the songs? I don't. I can figure out music. Like, and it's steel string. It's a steel string. It's a steel string Portuguese guitar. You can see it live. If you look up on YouTube, type in, yes, I've seen All Good People live, and go to a real early one. I'll tell you right now, what I do when I have to learn a song, if I'm having a hard time hearing what's being played on the record, I will always look for a live concert by the time the record came out. Not now. Like if someone came out with a record in 75, I'm not looking at them playing it now. I want to see what they were playing it right after they finished recording the record. So my memory is like, if someone says play like a song, if I remember, I remember that's in G. Well, then I take a second. I'm like, let me see how the song went. And I can hear it in my head. And then I can pretty much fill in the blanks. But it's not like I'm sitting there and have these things committed to memory, which is why I tell people music theory helps, because I don't need to know. Like sometimes people will say, can you play? The problem is all inside your head, she said to me. The answer is easy if we take it logically. I mean, I know the chords. I know the names. I know what's supposed to be in them. So it's not like I'm memorizing the shapes. I know what the hell's. What voice? I like this voicing. Which is as much as I can do because I can't get that low bass note that the low piano plays. But I play it as a D. Let's see what I would call this chord. D minor. 7. D minor 7 at 11. Like that. It's actually the same chord as the Police use in Walking on the Moon. My dad would play Beatles songs to me for hours on end. Yeah, Beatles are a fun band. I mean, what can you can't really knock. I'm just doing that off the top of my head. We did that once. I gotta figure. Should I? Let me see what's going on here. Oh yeah, yeah. The humidity here. Well, no, Rick Beato's way ahead. I mean, he's ahead of me. He's really into the jazz side of the stuff, and I look more as a working player because I wouldn't consider myself. I think of myself more as a working level. I think he's beyond that for sure. Yeah, I mean, definitely above my pay grade. He also really is into the modes, and I find that to be, you don't communicate well with others when you start talking about that. Oh, hey, thanks, Jay. I'm a guitar player that prefers to listen to the drums. You know, like Larry Carlton, when asked about playing over the G7 chord, he says, "Yeah, I play the A flat melodic minor." Most jazz guys will say they play altered, and I think most people by now still know what that means. But it's real when like Larry says it, you can't mistake what he's saying. He's saying what he does. He plays the A flat melodic minor. That's how I prefer to communicate. I just think from a player's point of view, it makes things clear because there's an understanding of what notes. But like I said, the jazz guys, they live and die by that stuff. They love calling stuff with a sharp 4 Lydian. And their argument is, well, Lydian has a sound. And I said, yeah, well, so does playing the 4 position of any major scale. Anything with a sharp 4 has a sound, and that comes from playing the 4 chord. Like if I play a C major and I add an F sharp on top, there's my sharp 11 or sharp 4. That has the sound. Well, they say, well, that's Lydian. Thanks, you. So, and if you want to work on Slate, that Lydian or that 4 chord sound, there's a David Gilmour song and a Satriani song that I think he stole from Gilmour that goes, if Hetriani's still here, what's the Satriani song that's like, has that vibe? What is that song? But that's, I think David Gilmour's song is called Mihalis. Yeah, no, I think you're right, Rich. He doesn't communicate well to average players or even to some even more advanced players. But that's the problem with scholastic speaking. And one of the reasons I had problems with studying with or dealing with when I first went to go learn music on my own was because of that. Hey, John. Flying in a Blue Dream. Thank you. If you find a backing track for Flying in a Blue Dream or a backing track for Mihalis by David Gilmour, you can play just, again, E minor over those chords. And knowing that you're in the key of G, your triads are G, A minor, B minor, C, D, E minor, and F sharp half diminished. You'll find it a lot easier than sitting there thinking you're playing in C with a raised 4. Yeah, the problem with calling scale positions, Tom, is if I'm playing and I say to you, hey, Tom, right now I'd like you to, the solo coming up, play it in F Dorian. Tell me what your process is for figuring out what F Dorian is, Tom. And in no means am I picking on you. I'm just bringing this up as an example. Yes, Rich, exactly. He speaks very scholastically. And for like a lot of the real serious jazz guys, the Barry Harris guys, and Barry Harris, by the way, is fucking brilliant. And if you can ever watch his videos, I'm telling you, the fact that he lived in our lifetime, or still living, I believe, he's effing brilliant. And anything you can take from his videos, I suggest you watch him and take it. He's absolutely brilliant. But a lot of his students are on the talk about his stuff and get really complicated with it. And I think that defeats the whole purpose of what Barry was trying to do, is saying that it wasn't so complicated and that you don't have to. But it's always the scholastic people that studied with him. But I do think he was absolutely brilliant, and his views on music are awesome. I mean, they're out there, but they're awesome. But Tom, on the F Dorian, it's a pain in the ass. That's all right, Richard. But the F, someone says F Dorian, you're doing work in your head. And I don't want to, when somebody says to you, hey, can you clap your hands? Do you stop to think, I got to lift this hand and lift this hand and put them together? Or do you just clap your fucking hands? And most people will just clap their hands. So instead of saying to somebody in F Dorian, if I say to you, play an E flat, you play an E flat and center on F. Well, now you know you're playing F to F, and there are 3 flats, right? B flat, E flat, and A flat. Because there's only 7 notes. So if there's 7 notes between F and F, F to E, which is now flat, and 3 are flat, 4 are natural. F is natural, G is natural, A is flat, B is flat, C is natural, D is natural, E is flat. It doesn't take much to think. It's right there. You should know, bottom line, folks. Johnny, because I was talking and it just popped up and I was reading what somebody was saying. So the bottom line is you really need to learn your circle of fifths. You should know it. If someone says to you the key of G, you should know 1 sharp. 6 naturals, 1 sharp. You should know that sharp's F sharp. That means if you're playing, that F is the only thing that's sharp. That's it. So if someone says to you, play in the key of B, play in the key of G, center on B, I know they're asking me to play, right? I don't have to think Phrygian. What's in Phrygian? What does Phrygian do? I just know I'm playing 7 notes and one of them sharp, and I'm starting on B. That's why I don't like the modes. That's the reason. That's also the reason why I think Larry Carlton will say in G7 altered, he plays A flat melodic minor. Not because he's playing, but because he's playing, even from the 7th position, it's still A flat melodic minor. It's the same 7 notes. So you should think of things like that as in 7 notes and not worry about the modal names. Anytime you see someone that starts talking modes with me, or if someone says, "Oh, you play guitar," and they have a question and it's a modal question, instantly I'm like, ugh, this guy. Because this guy doesn't really know modes, but because a lot of unschooled guitar players, they feel, and don't take this personally, anybody in the chat, but you feel insecure. How insecure do you feel? You feel you need to tell me how mahogany sounds on an electric guitar. When I could blindfold you and play you 30 guitars and you couldn't tell me which one's mahogany. But you seem to want to tell me of how the tone of that wood is, as if you're coming from a place of a sophisticated ear. I'm not buying it. Build model airplanes, says the little fairy. Well, we're not buying it. Next thing you know, there's money missing off your dresser and your daughter's knocked up. The same thing when people start talking modes, you throw something at them or they ask you something and they start looking up, they have to think. And I'm like, if you have to think about what the fuck that mode is, why are we even having this? Like, it doesn't seem like why would you even think that way in that conversation? Like, Dorian mode versus Aeolian mode. What it has something to do with the 6. Yeah, it's a raised 6. Yeah, but who cares? If you're in the key of C, the 2 is the Dorian, the 6 is the. Let's put it this way, if you're playing A minor, if it's Dorian, it's the 2. So therefore, you're in the key of G. If it's Aeolian, you're in the 6. You're in the key of C. And if it's Phrygian, you're in the key of F because A minor then is the 3. But you're doing that extra step after somebody called a mode. And my whole point is just tell me what key and what note you want me to send her on. Exactly. No, but you know what I mean? So like if you're playing a let's see, like a D minor. A D minor, right? We get D minor. What is that? Black Sabbath. What key am I in? I'm in D minor, but what key? I'll tell you, I'm in the key of C. It's the 2 position because the B is natural. And I knew that the second I went, I'm like, ooh, B natural. I'm in the key of C. Here's the B natural again. So if you were going to solo over that, you would actually play what somebody would tell you is D minor Dorian, but you could just say key of C, center on D, D minor in the key of C. It's easier that way. You're not learning 7 Greek, because what happens is there are 7, right? There are 7 modes, right? Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, Aeolian, Locrian. And then we have the fucking harmonic minor scale. That introduces 7 more modes, some of which have 2 or 3 different names for different modes. Then we have melodic minor, 7 modes. Again, 2 or 3 of them have different names that you can call them. Then we have harmonic major. We haven't even discussed harmonic major yet, which is a major scale with a flat 6. There are 7 modes to the harmonic major. What, Dave? There's a harmonic double major? Yes, there's a scale that's a major scale with a flat 2 and a flat 6, and that too will have 7 modes. Or, so how many is that? 7? How many? That's 2 major, 2 minor, there's 5. So 5 off the top of my head is 35 minimal different modes you have to learn the names for, or 5 scales. I don't know. It's easy for me to learn 5 and someone say, hey, we're going to play in the key of C, center on D. Okay. Okay, B is natural. I get it. I get it. All naturals. This is the California scale. All natural, all healthy vitamins. If it was in the key of F, it would be instead of yeah, but everything's the key. There's no reason that anyone would tell you like a scale to play. You know, when you go read a chart or you're playing with somebody, then you have that freedom. If you're playing cover songs, you're learning somebody else's solo and you kind of get the idea. But a lot of times people ask, like, how did you know where that is and how to fake that? It's like, well, I know where I am in the key, you know? Like a lot of feces and dirty needles. Thank you, John Taylor, for that wonderful depiction. What is that song that's not? Oh. These are the good old days. Oh, yeah, well, it's nuts, Hetriani. Not only that, it's not that I don't like them. And usually if I'm at a gig or if somebody comes up to play and I'm at an open jam, which I haven't done in a while, I used to be the house player in an open band. People would come up and they would, you know, throw something at me and or ask me a question, I'll answer it for them. And then they're trying to like, oh yeah, that's because, and I'm just like, don't think of it like you're thinking of. Yeah, exactly, Ed. You're thinking of the rule that comes after the fact. You know, if you look at the key of C and you go to D minor and you go to D, yes, there's going to be a natural 6 in that key. In the Aeolian mode or the 6th position of the F scale, B is flat, so you will have a flat 6. That is the only difference in the key of C to the key of F is 1 flat. So in every mode, that flat has to fall somewhere. Let me see if I can get anyone to understand this. So the difference between the key of C and the key of F is B flat, right? The difference between the key of C and the key of G is F sharp, 1 sharp. But let's stick to the flats for a second. So the difference between the key of C from C to C and an F from C to C is that in F, that B flat makes that dominant chord. Otherwise, they're the exact same scale. So where is that C? It's the 5 note of the F. So the 5 note has a dominant 7. They named that mixolydian. So the mixolydian has a flat 7. Can't we just say the 5 position has a flat 7? Why do we have to give it a name? Because then I could just say we're in the key of F center on C. You know, 1 flat. You're not thinking so much of C mixolydian. Okay, so it's a flat 7, but what's C? You're doing, like I say, you have to jump through 3 hoops. It works in every scale. F, in the key of F, B is flat. In the key of C, F to F, B would be natural. That's a sharp 4. So now we know that Lydian, the 4th position, is a sharp 4. Which came first, the sharping of the 4 or the name of the, you know what I'm saying? So like when people are like, oh, Dorian has a flat, a raised 6. Well, it's not really a raised 6. It's a natural 6. It's natural to the scale. It's a perfect 6. Therefore, you know, but the Aeolian, which we call the standard minor, is a flat 6. It's a flat 6 and a flat 7. So we could look at the Dorian mode again and look at the in the key of C, the D minor, you have D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So the C is flat and the B is natural, right? Because we have a flat 6 and we have a natural 6 and a flat 7. So you really, it's one note difference in all 7 modes from one key to the next, right? I mean, you have A minor in the key of C has no sharps and no flats. In the key of F, A minor has a B flat. It has a flat 2. What does that tell you? It tells you that the Phrygian mode has a flat 2 or a flat 9. It's a silly way to try to communicate. Now, it's not terrible if you're around guys who know it as well as the jazz guys, because when the jazz guys all know it, it makes sense. But when you're doing sessions and you're working, making, whatever, whether it's film, TV, or records, some of the guys you work with are classical guys who show up to read. So if you give somebody a piece of paper and it has no sharps and no flats on it, but the first chord is an F, and you say to him, it's in Lydian mode, the guy's going to look at the sheet and go, what are you talking about? It's in the key of C. Well, it starts on an F. It's going to be like, who gives a shit? I'm just looking at what key it's in. I got no, I'm in the key of C. Yeah, an F's the first chord, but that doesn't affect him. Doesn't affect many. It just lets you know where the point of center is, and that's all. And so it's just easier to tell you where the point of center is because it's the shortest way to communicate and the easiest way to communicate. Hey, Lonesome, easiest way to communicate with people is to let them know the shortest way to say it. So if I say to Hetriani, we're playing a metal song, and it's in the key of D, but we're centering on F sharp. Okay, he gets it. He knows how many sharps are in the key of D. He knows we're going to be leaning on the third. That's our point of center. But if I said to him, we're going to play an F sharp Phrygian, he's going to go, all right, and he's got to think. There's no way someone's not going to think for a second of what the hell it is, especially when you name a key that people aren't usually playing. Thanks, Hugh, I think. I make you question what you know. What's the word? Listen, you're done. You're gone. You never work again. What's the word on the street? That's it. But yeah, it's just the shortest way to say things. And that's why I love slash chords, because slash chords does this for you. If I tell you that a C major 7 is E minor over C, well, I just took the mystery out of what's a C major 7. I also let you know that if someone's playing this on the bass, you could play and I can play E minor over it all day. I can outline, if I wanted to, I could outline like. I could also outline that F sharp and give it the feeling that it's the key of G. It's prettier sound. That's all I'm saying. The 4 chords are prettier sound to list on when you play the major 7. Not always, but most of the time. What the hell's this? Oh. Anyways, are there any questions? How did that happen? Okay. Where's Rich Surfbeat? You gonna come down some Sunday? You gotta come down to Pawtucket. Well, point of center is just another way of saying what is your what's the focal point of the song. So if we have a point of center of C, right? And let's make it D because I can play it open. Let's say the focal center is D and I go like this. Or right? I'm centering on D. Am I in D? No. I can't have a major 2 in D. And I told you, if you have 2 major chords that are a whole step apart, they're 4 and 5. So if this is 4, that's 5. And then I'm in the key of A. Oh. Right? What is that? Yeah, 4 to the 5, exactly. Now, there's a song that I play. It's the end of the DL show that plays. It's a song called Goodbye that I wrote. And it's like, that's the chord. It's an A, major 7, major 9. What the hell's this? Major 9, sharp 11. Because it has a sharp 11, you know it's the 4 chord, so I'm really in the key of E. And so over the leads, you hear like... over that chord. So you know you're playing an A major scale with an extra sharp. You have the D sharp, which makes it the key of E, right? But we have, so I can be like, because that's why I say, Ed, you have to learn your circle of fourths, because we have a D sharp in the chord. It's a sharp 11, and the sharp 11 sits in the 4 chord. And if I'm playing an A and I'm on the 4 chord, then I'm in the key of E. Yeah, he can come on my show next week and wants to talk and play. That'd be great. Right, so we have... So that's how you would know in that song, and it basically goes to like E to A. It's like, and the is the piano line. Right there, that's the key of E. Get the D sharp to E to B. You know, next week we'll talk a little bit more about the circle of fifths, because I got to get you guys up on board to know. You should know them off the top of your head. Like it in G too, sounds nice. It's a nice sounding chord, guys. Anyways, that's all I got for today. Oh, hold on. Where tightens it? Oh, that's awesome, Hetriani. I'm glad. I mean, that's kind of the whole point is I just want people to see that there's other ways to look at stuff because most of the music books that I looked at when I was growing up, I couldn't find what I was looking for. And I lived not too far from Berkeley, but I could take the train in. I used to take the train into Boston and go to the Berkeley bookstore. And there was like concept stuff books. And I got a hold of some jazz books and whatnot and figured a lot of the stuff out on my own. Another night, Jay, for sure. But maybe when Hetriani comes on, that'd be fun. But it's just good to know, um, how it works. And like I'll be listening in a car. Like if I listen to a song like that Gladys Knight song, when I listen to it in the car and I hear that dominant 7 chord, I know right away they're going to that 4. I know exactly why they did it. Axle guitars, I think they're like cheap Chinese guitars, aren't they? I mean, anything's worth it if you can fix it up and make sure the frets feel good. But just a quick little shout out. I talked to Ryan today. I haven't talked to him in a long time. Well, in a conversation about gear. He was looking at some basses. But I'll recommend this, and I'm sure a lot of you guys collect guitars and have guitar collections. If you have a bass, learn some bass because that too will open up to you. You'll start to see how the chord structures, and it forces you to learn the chords because if you're playing a D over F sharp, it's nice to be able to walk up that A and maybe hit the C if you want to hit the 7, if whatever. I'm just saying it's nice to know the chords. It's nice to know what's in the chords and how to play them, and knowing how to play the bass is important too. And I would suggest also learning other people's songs. I know a lot of people, including myself, when I was younger, I was like, I don't want to play other people's songs. Well, but I did learn everything by Zeppelin. But then I was like, I want to be in an original band. But there were times when I had to learn songs, a lot of Skinner stuff. It really helps because you start to see somebody's already done all the work for you. And you can just go through their stuff and be like, oh, here it is. I mean, that's the great thing. There are some amazing, amazing jazz pianists on YouTube that do lessons. And that's what I put on when I go to sleep and I'm listening to these jazz concepts. And some of them are out there. And some of them, I'm like, yeah, they don't sound that great on guitar. I could hear that. But they are really nice, simple concepts that I think people, like Hugh and Hetriani would pick up on. There's some really cool stuff. And even Tom Milley. Yeah, these vids have been great. I've been learning a bunch. Oh, nice, J-Bone. Yeah, I mean, knowing the extensions is good. You want to know the extensions. I mean, the extensions aren't that tough. We're talking about, like I said, there's 7 notes. And really you have, for extensions, we have a 7, a 9, an 11, and a 13, and that's it. Yeah. Yeah, you'll start to see that more, Tom. And you'll start to see that in chords more. You'll start to see that every extension is really another triad being laid on top. There's a minor, is it a minor 7 at 11? That's a stacked 4. Yeah, I mean, it's a learning thing. But the most important thing is to be able to communicate and speak the language when you pick up the guitar. That's and be musical. And some people are like, well, do you think McCartney knew all this stuff? Maybe not know the names, but he had a mentor with him. He had George Martin, who was walking him through everything, and who was there when he needed him. And that's, so he may not have known things, but he's also extremely musical. Great. Excellent. Well, next week we'll go over more keys. We'll go over a lot of the keys because it's all plug and play. If you think about the key, you really need to learn the key of C. Once you understand the extensions in C, everything else is just gravy. But C is easy. It's like, you should know a C major. And how about this? In the key of C, if you use all 7 notes in every chord is the fucking scale. So a C major 13 is C, E, G, wait, what is it? C, E, G, B, D, F, A. That's the whole scale. 7 notes. And then D minor 13, same thing. D, F, A, C, E, G, B. So the whole scale can become a chord. It's 7 chords. The whole C major scale. You have E minor. What are we going to have? E minor 7, flat 9, add 11, flat 13. I would just say C, E minor 11, flat 9, flat 13 is the 3 chord. I'm looking at the piano. The 4 chord would be F major 9, sharp 11, 13, which I would just call an F major 13, sharp 11. The G chord is a G13. The A minor chord is an A minor 7, 9, 11, A minor 11, flat 13. What's the, flat 6, flat 13. That's the chords I'm calling off. That's all 7 notes, the whole C major scale in 7 chords. Well, I only said 6. The other one would be a B minor flat 5, B minor 7 flat 5, B minor 7 flat 5, flat 9. What's left? B minor 11 flat 5, flat 9. What's the 13? And flat 13. A lot of flats. Oh, there's a lot of books that are wrong too. Like a lot of times people in music books, they see a D chord, and as the first chord, so then they write the sheet music out as the key of D, and then they will sit there and flat or natural every note that needs to be. When initially the song, like if we're talking like Sweet Home Alabama, and it should have been written in the key of G. And I'm not trying to use that song because I think everybody knows that Sweet Home Alabama is in the key of G. And if you use my method of putting the 4 and 5, knowing where they are, you would see that D and C right away shows you that's the 4 and 5, so the key has to be G. But a lot of sheet music will be lazy and see the first chord and then try to transcribe it into that key. All right, guys. I want to thank you for hanging out with me. I got to do legs tomorrow, and I'm gonna get some sleep. I've been exhausted lately. But I want to thank everyone for hanging out and coming to the show. And Hetriani, if you want any Smith songs on the way for a lesson. I think I did. Didn't I do This Charming Man? What could I do? You know what I will? I'll one of my favorite songs by them, I always forget how to play it, but I used to know it. So I'll go relearn it and then I'll post it so I never forget it. Is This Night Has Opened My Eyes. Did I not do How Soon Is Now? I used to play that in a band too. That was that, there it is. Yeah, I think Johnny Marr on a few songs, I don't think he used a capo. I think he tuned up a whole step. Like, I think on This Charming Man, he's playing in F sharp, not on a capo. Oh, hey, thanks, Jay. You don't worry about it. Falcro, is that supposed to be your Roger Rabbit, please? Hetriana, you have my email, so definitely email me. I'd love to have you on anytime. Even Sunday, too, if you want to get on. I know Sunday you wanted to come on. With Joe. All right, guys. Hey, listen, everybody. Thanks so much for hanging out. I got to get the hell out of here. I need to catch some Z's. I got to be, I got lessons tomorrow. And I might go try to smoke a cigar tomorrow night. All right, cool. Thanks, Het. My lesson gets out at 8. Maybe I'll go smoke a cigar tomorrow night. That'd be good. It's been a long week, Helen. Stanley, it's Tuesday. All right. All right. Thanks, Tom, Hugh, everybody, Richard, Jay, Ed Pooner. Thanks so much, everyone. And as always, thank you, Jay. Very good.